part concert, part stand-up, and part rallying cry for sovereignty, independence, and keeping America great. In 2020, all of it. But the president is vowing to take back the House in 2020. He's not just focusing on his own reelection, but he wants the House back because that's where you can get all the stuff done that they want to get done, which they, for whatever reason, thank you, Paul Ryan, wouldn't do in the first 2 years when they had the House, the Senate, and the White House. But the president was indeed on a roll.
We have to make a decision. Theme for the next campaign. So we've been here by that time, 3.5 years. We're going into the war with some socialists. And it looks like the only non-sort of heavy socialist, he's being taken care of pretty well by the socialists. They got to him. Our former vice president, I was going to call him, I don't know him well. I was going to say, welcome to the world, Joe. You having a good time, Joe?
Well, that was just where he was getting going. But he took it apart on socialism as well.
Don't underestimate the power of socialism to get a vote. When they say we're going to give you free education, we're going to give you free health care, we're going to give you free everything. Everything is free. It's very seductive. It's not going to be so easy like you think. Now, in 10 years, it's going to be easy when the country goes to hell, because that's what happens. The country goes to hell. Happened many times. A lot of folks are going to say, hey, wait a minute, man, if I vote for Trump, I agree the economy is good, but this guy's giving me everything. Not that easy. So we have to work. We can never take it for granted. We have to explain how bad it really is.
He is absolutely right. We have to do the storytelling of why socialism will destroy everything we built in this country, our opportunity society, entrepreneurial endeavors, the willingness of businesses to invest in long shots, the entire way our investment is set up in our country for just regular people. All of it has changed. You de-incentivize people through socialism. The power of incentive, hard work. The problem with socialism isn't just that you eventually run out of other people's money, as Reagan famously said. Problem with socialism is that it doesn't work. It never has. It never will. You can't expect that people are going to put in their full effort in anything when they know they can make money by not doing much at all. If you de-incentivize people to work hard, because working hard gets you ahead, and when you get ahead, you make more money, you can do more things that you want to do with your family or your free time, then everybody becomes agents of phoning it in. I say this to my kids a lot. We don't phone it in this household. We do not phone in doing our cleaning of our rooms. We don't phone in our studies. We don't phone it in when we're reading a book. Everything you do to the best of your ability, whatever that ability is. Not everybody's going to get an A, but everybody can try his or her best. If you're ill, if you're sick, okay, that's one thing. But if you're not ill, if you're not sick, if you have 2 hands, feet, and a brain, then you can get up and do your best job every day. And with socialism, you ultimately take that, you rob that drive from people. Because at some point, what the heck? I make another $100,000 next year, and the government's going to take 70% of it anyway. Why the heck should I? Why should I toil and work 80-hour weeks if the government's going to take most of it anyway? Why am I going to do that? And so people won't do that. That's how it is. And I want to thank all of our sponsors who make this show possible. This podcast free to you many times a week. Of course, our great sponsors, Genucel, Serovital, Delta Animal Rescue, and Legacy Box, many more. They help provide this podcast free. And you're going to learn more about their great products and special offers later on in the show. So Trump is right about the storytelling. And speaking of storytelling, we have a couple of great storytellers going to be with us on this podcast today. Ben Shapiro is going to talk to us about this question that I've raised repeatedly over the last several years. Do we really have free speech in America? Today, with the thought police, the campus thought police has spread its tentacles across the United States into every aspect of our lives. People are afraid to speak out. So do we really have free speech in America? And remember, if you want to be part of the podcast, meaning call in, you can. You just have to email us first, ingram.podcast@gmail.com, ingram.podcast@gmail.com, and we usually send out what we're talking about. But you can email us and tell us what's on your mind. But what's really dividing us in the country, we're going to hit that topic with a terrific professor from Georgetown, Christopher Metzler. He's going to join us. And Ben Shapiro on, do we really have a First Amendment that's meaningful? Do we have a meaningful free speech in this country? And you might guess where I come down on that. Donald Trump last night talked about, well, again, do we need a new slogan?
My theme was going to be Keep America Great, because we've made it great, and we really have. I mean, China is down 38%. Kevin, because of tariffs. Okay? See, look at Kevin. You're not unhappy about that. And we're up 50%. We're going to have a great election. The question is, do I go with Make America Great Again, or do I go with Keep America Great? Because we made it great in theory. So you ready? Let's go. Let me hear it. And it is hard. You know, I was seeing the other day, they were saying it's probably the greatest theme in the history of politics. I think it is. Make America Great Again, MAGA. How do you give that up for a new one? CAG. Keep America Great. CAG. I don't know. Maybe it catches on. You never know. You know, at first with MAGA, I never thought MAGA was going to catch on. And now MAGA. Everything's MAGA. I even say just whenever I do a tweet, that has kept us in business, those tweets. It's my only form of defense, because the press is 94% against us.
Well, he's right about that. That's actually a good question. Keep America Great. It's not Make America Great Again. It was 4. Keep America Great is 3 words. I think it's got to be like America Now and Forever. That's my theme. You can't take my theme. That's my theme for the podcast. So then like a true entertainer that he is, well, he decides to take an instant survey.
Who likes Keep America Great? Okay, so ready? Make America Great Again, or Keep America Great? I don't know. It's honestly, I love the idea of Keep America Great, because, you know, what it says is we've made it great, now we're going to keep it great, because these socialists will destroy it. You know, that we're doing great, but they can destroy what we've done.
You bet. And their plans are now getting very specific, aren't they? Well, they're getting specific because they have to. I mean, they have to. Well, when they say Green New Deal, and Ocasio-Cortez gets up there on last Friday night with Chris Hayes, they did this town hall. I've never seen anything like this. A 29-year-old who, God bless her, was, you know, a bartender, and I mean, everyone knows my mom was a waitress till she was in her 70s, and she had an enormous amount of common sense. She was very smart, extremely smart. So, I mean, I personally think bartenders have probably a lot more pragmatic way of thinking about the world than a lot of pinheads in the think tank world in Washington. So I don't have a problem with that. People say she was a bartender. Well, so what? But she doesn't have a lot of experience with economics or running a business. I mean, she worked, which is good, and that's great. But I think it is interesting that the Democrats are having their script written for them in a way by someone as young and idealistic and as heart-charging as she is, yet without kind of a tested platform of ideas. That's a risky proposition. But she's getting some help from the media folks who's like, oh, finally someone's saying we have to cut emissions by 1/2 over 12 years. I wasn't going to play this, but let's listen.
The first big issue you're doing is a Green New Deal.
That's right.
So why this issue, front and center, first thing?
So this issue is not just about our climate. First and foremost, we need to save ourselves, period. There will be no future for the Bronx. There will be no livable future for generations coming for any part of this country in a way that is better than the lot that we have today if we don't address this issue urgently and on the scale of the problem.
So that's what the kids were saying on Friday night at their town hall with Chris Hayes and AOC. But Trump, he can't. He sees the low-hanging fruit last night, and he has to grab it.
Now, I'm only afraid that we're going to be too hard on the Green New Deal, and they're not going to do it because I want them to do it. We don't want to have them knock it out before we get to run against it. So let's take it easy. I'm actually saying it's a wonderful thing. The Green New Deal, done by a young bartender, 29 years old. A young bartender, wonderful young woman.
Wait. There must have been something. That was like mid-thought. Wonderful young woman. I'm sensing a but.
The Green New Deal. But it's crazy. The first time I heard it, I said, that's the craziest thing. You have senators that are professionals, that you guys know, that have been there for a long time. White hair, everything perfect. And they're standing behind her and they're shaking. They're petrified of her. We support the Green New Deal. How about the woman from Hawaii, the senator from Hawaii? Highly nice woman, right? Oh, I'm glad I didn't say it. I'm going to get
Crazy
great points
Maisie?
from my wife for not saying that. But she was so angry to men, right? Remember, she was screaming at men. And then they asked her about the Green New Deal. I love it. They said, yeah, but you don't allow airplanes anymore, so you can't get to Hawaii. Oh, we have to work on something. So somebody jokingly said, we'll build a train to Hawaii, and she actually thought it was a decent idea. So now she supports it because she thinks they're going to build a train to Hawaii.
Crazy Maisie. I mean, you see he's already doing this in the lead up to 2020. So when you have like Pete Buttigieg, and just so a lot of you don't know who he is, or you don't know much about him. If you missed the Ingraham angle on who he is and how he's being built up as the new progressive pinup boy, then you might not be all that familiar with him. But he is the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, the home of Notre Dame. He's a gay man who's married, and he's a Rhodes Scholar, went to Harvard, very bright. But he's a classic garden variety lefty, though. But he's a soft-spoken, calmer lefty. So for that, they think, oh, Pete Buttigieg. He's our type of guy. And he's kind of like AOC in this way. I mean, he's super, super bright. But like AOC, he is pretty good at using social media. And again, branding. Trump's a brand, too, don't get me wrong. But Buttigieg is kind of just like a, hi, these are my new offices kind of brand.
Hey everybody, I want to make sure you see our new office. This is our first day in the new headquarters and we're really pumped about it. One day we're hoping to be in the actual West Wing, which we will fill with witty repartee, fast walking, good dialogue. Thanks, Leah. But in the meantime, we're just finding our way into this new headquarters, which is full of space. It's increasingly full of a fantastic team, and if nothing else, anybody who walks into this place is going to know how to say our name.
But I didn't forget it. I mean, the cast of Morning Joe has died and gone to heaven because of this guy.
He was so insightful, and I guess the good news is that actually being insightful, being knowledgeable about the issues, and also having a good positive spirit actually still counts for something. in politics. We just got inundated with calls by people saying, this guy is the real thing. We love Mayor Pete.
Raymond Arroyo is with us here on the Laura Ingraham podcast. Raymond, when you saw Trump last night, you heard some of those clips, and he is just on fire. I mean, he really is. I mean, he has an extra spring in his step post-Mueller, and he's now ready. I mean, you can see he's getting ready for going in for the kill for 2020.
Moving into full campaign mode. And look, the danger for the president is this. He gets so relaxed, he starts riding that crowd and the laughter they're giving him. And as we've commented so many times, his natural demeanor in front of a crowd is that of a comedian. He wants to entertain. He wants to have a good time. And he uses that comedy to skewer his enemies and to make light of their foibles. He did that last night with the Joe Biden thing. You played some of it earlier, with the AOC and the whole lot. The danger for the president is he goes a bit too far in that direction, and somebody comes from the other side and says, wait a minute, he's not serious enough. He's got to find that balance, I think. And look, he did it last time. I'm sure he'll do it again. And the difference here is he actually has a winning agenda that he can point to and say, look, your lives are demonstrably better. I'm happy to go back to Trump Tower in Mar-a-Lago, and I'll go golf the rest of my days.
Won't hurt him.
Yeah, it's not. I'm going to be fine, but you all might be in a pickle. If that becomes his argument, I mean, I love these people. We're doing this on the Ingraham angle. We now have a book by a golfer who attempts to use golf.
Yeah.
Okay. To plunge the mind and soul of Donald Trump. And the upshot of the book is Donald Trump, he claims, cheats at golfing, and therefore he cheats at everything. Well, that doesn't add up. The man has had more probes than a proctologist's office, and they haven't found anything. So
Rick Riley, the book is Commander-in-Chief.
No, don't even promote. Why are you promoting the name of the book? I purposely didn't mention the name of the book because the guy is...
Well, no, he said just a buffoon. Oh, he cheats at golf. First of all, Trump's not a pro golfer. He's not out there in the Pro-Am or at the Masters next week. And he's like, well, okay, he just dropped the ball. Okay, we did tease Bill Clinton for cheating at golf, but now we've already crossed.
But
that
Riley tells a story that I kind of like. See, it made me laugh. Which again, Trump does this for recreation and I think for fraternity.
He was golfing just a few weeks ago for an entire morning with Kid Rock, Bob Ritchie. His name is Bob Ritchie.
Oh, I didn't know that was his real name.
And they had a good time.
Well, again, he does it for fraternity. He does it for friendship. And there was a great story they told where the guys are watching, and Trump, the ball obviously went into the lake, and they all saw the splash. Trump gets in his supersonic golf cart, zooms over there. They come back, and it's sitting on the green, okay?
Oh,
it's sitting on the side of the green. And they said, Donald, what happened? He said, I don't know. It must have been the tide.
Oh, no, he's joking.
Of course it's a joke.
On.
This is what I'm saying.
They think he thinks he's really a scratch golfer.
I mean, come on. And they all know, everybody who plays with him knows he's doing this for kicks and for fun. He's not doing this seriously. So, again, I think they find it delightful, and this guy's trying to make a political manifesto out of it. It's so stupid. But when I play you Nicole Wallace and Don Lemon treating this like it's one of the Watergate investigators, it is a riot. It is a riot.
Oh, no.
They're going to try to find anything. Here's the good news.
Mueller didn't deliver, but Rick Riley did.
Right. Mueller didn't deliver, but we got him. We got him cheating on the greens.
Oh, no. That's good. By the way, before we leave this Democrat delight behind, we do have to mention the fact that the Democrats, this idea that they're not being pulled to the left, and that's just a big right-wing false frame that's being put around the debate. All you need to know is that one after the other, these Democrat hopefuls showed up at this We the People Summit in Washington. Okay, they went to this big event in D.C. on Monday, and it turns out that one of the call-outs, they always get upset when, say lock her up. They get all upset about that. Well, their call and repeat chant was from this Assata Shakur. Okay? Now, it's our duty to fight for freedom. It's our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Now, this references Karl Marx. Okay, now this is initially this chant originated from the fugitive cop killer Assata Shakur. It was shouted out by Jamal Watkins, vice president at civic engagement at NAACP, but they knew what they were doing with this chant.
It's going to be a long and powerful day, but I want you to do something with me. I'm going to actually have you participate with me in repeating some words from a leader by the name of Assata Shakur. So if you can stand up with me, if you can't stand, it's okay, but I want you to repeat after me. Now we're going to take it as loud as we can get. It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty
Trump's an
to
autocrat.
We must love each other and respect each other.
We must love each other and respect each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are people wearing chains in America?
Are we talking about
FBI.
necklaces? What are we talking about? I'm confused.
Nothing to lose but our chains.
What chains are? We are in 21st century America, where with hard work, playing by the rules, finishing high school, maybe getting a little more education if you can live at least a middle class life in this country. I mean, unless something horrible tragedy befalls you, an illness or some criminal sets upon you, you can live at least a middle class life or better. So this is a great time to be an American, no matter where you're from. And it is it's disturbing, it's disappointing, it's toxic to hear this kind of false alarmism about the racial atmosphere in the country by people who seem to profit off racial grievance. That's very sad. It does not help a single African American get a job or have a better life or raise a better family or just be happier, period. That help anyone except the people making the money off the racial grievance industry. Then they love it. It's insanity. By the way, I want to remind all of you that I love getting your emails, and a lot of you are emailing to come on the show now and talk about the various topics we're going to hit with our guests. But I love getting your emails about the products that we promote, our partners, and giving you this podcast every time we drop a podcast. It's usually about 3 times a week, and you get it free because of these great sponsors. But you also get the great products. And if you love beautiful skin, you love the Genucel line of products by my friends at Chamonix. Robin from Lubbock, Texas, loves the new jawline cream. She tried it, she said, 2 or 3 days ago, and it's the best her skin around her jawline, even into her neck, has looked in years. And her friends want it as well. Well, good. Well, it's easy now to get the jawline cream. All you have to do is order the classic Genucel plant stem cell therapy for under-eye bags and puffiness, what I use in the morning and at night. You get that, and you get the jawline treatment for free. So you can try it. You'll see if you love it. I know you will. You're going to just love these products. So you order right now, and again, you get that jawline treatment free. Absolutely free, just for getting what you should already have anyway, which is the plant stem cell therapy for under-eye bags and puffiness. It's easy. All you do is text EYES1 to 77453 or go to Genucel.com. That's Genucel.com. Remember, you have a 100% money back guarantee by Chamonix, and you only have sort of the bags and wrinkles to lose. And you order now, you get the free 3-day shipping also free. Again, text EYES1 to 77453 or go to Genucel.com. Let's go to Deborah in Texas. Should we keep Make America Great Again or Keep America Great? You need 4 words. It almost seems like we got used to the 4 words. MAGA or CAG. CAG doesn't sound good, but MAGA sounds better.
No, MAGA does sound awesome, but I really do want to do keep, and let me tell you why, real fast. I'm in El Paso. I want him to shut down the border so we can keep America great. And I'm a small business owner.
So you're in El Paso, Texas? I just want to make sure we heard you. You're in El Paso, Texas? That's where we were.
Yeah.
Well, Beto wants to take the walls down there. He said take the walls down. What a fool.
I'm done. I want the border shut down. I want it fixed and keep America great.
I love it. I I think the president is going to be formidable next year. I really do. I think he's a competitor, so he drops some mulligans in golf. That doesn't matter. That's him having fun. And he does love being in front of a crowd. I mean, he's a natural performer. And it's good to be a natural performer if you're doing politics.
I love the concept. We made it great, and now we're going to keep it great. But I hate the concept of throwing away the most successful theme, I think, probably in the history of politics. I mean, there's something a little stupid about that, right? Let's take MAGA and throw it out. So I have a feeling maybe we'll try and use both. How about that? We'll try and use both, because they're both good. Hillary had a thing like stay together or some crap like that. I think she paid $1.9 million for the genius that gave her the line. I can honestly tell you I didn't pay. That was made up by me.
No, I think it was with her. I'm with her.
Right.
That was Hillary's, not stay together.
She did have Stronger Together.
Stronger together.
That's right.
That was a loser, too. I mean, keg. Well, you just can't say keg. It doesn't sound good.
Well, it will. MAGA doesn't sound. MAGA sounds like a maggot originally. I mean, it sounds like maggots. So, but it became something different.
Well, it's good to end on a vowel, though, Raymond. Vowels are good to end on.
We're going to have to come up with another thing. Keep America great.
Great always.
Always. Keep America great always.
No, doesn't work.
Forever. Keep America great forever.
Yeah, it doesn't work. That does.
Ending on a
yeah, that's really good. By the way, he did get serious, and this is an issue that I'm not happy with the way the GOP has handled this at all. And he was talking about health care.
Republicans should not run away from health care. You can't do it. You're going to get clobbered. If we stay away from that subject, we're going to lose. We're going to lose. We can't stay away. It's too important.
Well,
because the Democrats, you know what? We have the border. We have, if you look at it, we have the immigration, but we have we have the crime, we have the police, we have the military, we have so much. They have health care right now. We have to take that away from them.
Well, Mitch McConnell said there will not be a vote on health care until after the election. Doesn't it sound like we will not have a vote on the wall until after the election? What do they do?
Right. Right? Why don't they just do it? They should do what a lot of legislatures across the country do. Go home. Come sit in session for 30 days a year, and then go the hell home and save America the money.
What they should really do is just give the states, you have X amount of money for Medicaid. That's it. We're not giving you another cent. You figure out the best path for your people about health care.
Yep. Federal government should not be involved in medicine or education.
This entire federal behemoth. Raymond and Arroyo and I were just talking about this. The growth in Washington is sickening. It's sickening. It is the bloat of the federal government. Our spending grows year after year. The only time it didn't was during the sequester, and they screamed bloody murder because the defense industrial complex wanted more of their planes and so forth. I get it. But then you have to have a robust manufacturing where you protect your manufacturing better.
But driving in the D.C. suburbs, every time I see a new BMW or Tesla, I want to scream because that's all on the back of the American tax.
It's lawyers and lobbyists
and government
and consultants and government contractors. That is exactly what it is. And when I moved here in 1986, okay, you could drive from D.C. You drove to Dulles Airport, and it was like farmland. It was beautiful.
I had sound effects. You'd go.
Yeah, it's like you hear the lawnmower in the background. Yeah, let's just do that. I was like, oh, when are we going to get to the airport? This is like you're going through farmland.
We could just do this. We'll go back to the old days, Laura.
I'm going to do that.
This is how they used to do it in the old days, where
the washboard. That'd be fun. That's a good way of doing it. That's where radio is good. All right, Eric in Arkansas. Eric.
Hello. To be short, I think the slogan "Keep America Great" that gives the impression that Trump's work is finished, and when in reality, there's still much left to do. I think a more appropriate, if he had to change the slogan, I think "Making America Great" or something along.
Yeah, it's not bad actually.
Would be more
Making
fitting.
America Great is actually not bad. Making America Great. That's actually not. I actually think that might be better than Keeping America Great, because you're right. It isn't done. We haven't redone the nightmare of healthcare. We haven't solved the border crisis. That's actually pretty good. Making America Great. I think I'm going to suggest that. Yeah, we have very smart listeners. I should have thought of that first. I'm really jealous. Thank you, Eric. We're going to talk to Christopher Meltzer. He's going to join us. He has a great book out called Divided We Stand. And we thought he was a good person to bring in to talk about what truly divides the country today. It might not be what you think. What really is dividing us? Ben Shapiro, he's going to stop by, wildly popular radio show, podcast, author. And we're going to say, probably with him, focus on, do we really have free speech in America today? And all of your thoughts on this, your calls are always appreciated. I want to also thank Legacy Box, because if you're enjoying this podcast, we're going to be right back to it. But the Legacy Box folks have made the Ingraham household more organized and have our memories preserved and organized in a way that we can find them easily. We can see them easily. They're accessible to all of us because, well, we sent away for our Legacy Box kit. We had a lot of old VHS recordings. We had some audio recordings, lots of photographs. They digitize them for you. They send you back a digital thumb drive or a DVD, whichever you want, or just a digital download. And it's just magic. It's awesome. So Legacy Box is just, you have to update, guys. So the 21st century, you don't have boxes of photos. It's not going to do your family any good. And ultimately, someone will store them the wrong way, and they'll probably disintegrate. So just send your Legacy Box kit filled with all your old home movies, or your tapes or pictures, and they'll do the rest. And it's never been a better time to digitally preserve your memories. Just go to legacybox.com. Get started. Plus, a limited time, just for a limited time, they're offering my listeners a terrific discount. So you go to legacybox.com/Laura, and when you do that, you'll get 40% off your first order. Again, legacybox.com/Laura. Save 40% today. So get started preserving your past. We're going to take a break on the Laura Ingraham podcast and be joined in a moment by a professor who will surprise you by his answer to this question: what is really dividing us, and who is behind this division? Don't go away.
The Republicans here tonight are ready to work with them to deliver a much better future for all of our citizens. We're willing to work together. I told Nancy Pelosi the other day, I was with her, it was a nice conversation. Unfortunately, every time we have a great conversation, she then goes out and does a news conference and she says I'm a terrible human being. I don't figure that, but I guess that's called politics.
That was Donald Trump last night at the NRCC at Trump Hotel. Well, of course, this is their argument. Trump's a bad man, and if you vote for him, you're a bad person. That is their argument, essentially. And, they want abortion on demand up to the point of afterbirth, and transgenderism and gender bending and income confiscation. Just throw that into the bag of tricks. This is what it's all about. But Trump's a bad man. Trump's dividing America. You're listening to the Laura Ingraham podcast. If you want to be part of this podcast, as always, you email us, ingram.podcast@gmail.com. Give us your name, your number. We'll call you back, and we'll get you on the air. We're going to be tackling a lot of these issues today. What really is dividing the country? Our next guest has a thought on that. His book, Divided We Stand, The Search for America's Soul. Dr. Christopher Metzler is with us. He's a professor, author, senior fellow at Thomas Jefferson University, and we're just delighted he's with us. Dr. Metzler, to listen to the left, it is Donald Trump who is dividing the country. It's a very simple measure for them. It is he who is responsible for the toxic atmosphere. It's his tweets. It's his calling them S-hole countries. It's the Charlottesville, and it's all because of Trump.
Yeah, well, actually, it's all about the left. And particularly, if you look at somebody like Maxine Waters, for example, who is divider in chief. If you look at a number of the things that she says, if you look at all this conversation around why people of color should not vote for Trump because he's a racist, it is the left and their failed policies that are responsible for the division. The Obama administration was probably one of the most divisive administrations in history. And now you're telling me that this is all Trump's fault? Please.
Well, it's like when they will write about Viktor Orban in Hungary or Salvini and Italy, and like, oh, these nationalists, populists, they're destroying Europe. And they think that these people just popped out of nowhere. Like, if people's incomes had been rising and the middle class felt secure and the borders weren't open and their culture was intact, then people wouldn't be clamoring for a different way. But they clamored for a new way and a more nation-centered focus because they felt like they were losing their nations at the hands of the globalists. The globalists divided these countries up. And yet they blame the person who comes in to try to fix it.
Well, of course they do. They don't want it fixed because if it's fixed, it's not going to benefit them. They're not going to be able to continue to be the kind of racist, separatist people who have the power to control populations. It is, in fact, the globalists that are, and we're seeing a similar model here in the U.S., we're seeing a combination of the globalists and the deep state. The argument, I look at 2020 and I'm looking at the cast of clowns running for president, and I'm still trying to figure out what their platform is. Is it Trump's a bad guy? If that's the platform, good luck with that, because that's not going to work. It didn't work before, and it's not going to work now. Why don't you focus on his accomplishments rather than this trite, nasty, played out, division. Division benefits the left, period, end of discussion.
They went to this big We the People rally, which was a tedious exercise on Monday, but these are the radicals all getting together. And what Kirsten Gillibrand, I remember she came to Congress. When she was a congresswoman, she was a moderate, pro-gun rights, pro-deportation of illegal immigrants. And now she's a senator. She's as far left as they come. This is what she said.
So I don't know if you saw my announcement speech, but I did it right outside of Trump International. Did you see it? Well, the reason why I took the fight to him is because President Trump is creating so much division and hate in this country, but he is very small. He is weak. He is a coward. He is a leader who actually punches down. He demonizes those who need our help, those who need our support.
I just keep thinking, like, what time is the mixer at KKG sorority? I mean, it's just
exactly.
Sorry, but she went to Dartmouth. I know her sorority. So, but it's just not serious. This is, first of all, does anyone told her the president doesn't live at Trump International?
I was just about to say.
I took the fight to him. What? What are you talking about? But it actually is comical. I'm sorry. But if Saturday Night Live actually had any real desire to do political comedy, it wouldn't all be focused on Trump. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Look at the lefties. Look at Bernie. And I'm very interested in finding out, with all of the accusations against Biden now, whether or not the left is going to begin believe the woman first. Let's see.
Well, again, we'll get into that. But poor, Joe Biden is getting eaten by the Me Too movement, and which I actually don't think it's fair. I mean, I think what they're doing to him is ridiculous. But I have to share with you what Elizabeth Warren was screeching about at the same exact event on Monday night. They're all trying to outdo each other in radicalism.
This is a perilous time for our country.
What?
And every single day that goes by, we see a new form of the risks posed to our country by a corrupt administration.
I mean, again,
What is she talking about?
The best GDP of the G7. We're the envy of the world, our economy. More people are confident and optimistic than they've been in years. But small business optimism. And we're living in a perilous time. God bless terrible and corrupt man. And what man is going to vote for Elizabeth Warren? I mean, forget what woman, what man?
Man, exactly. And I mean, look, and the problem with her is she is trying to strike some sort of so-called populist theme. How much money does she make teaching at Harvard every year where she never teaches a class? So, and this whole notion of, he's evil, he's terrible. It's like, you know what, Elizabeth, sit down somewhere. I mean, you look like a complete idiot. Well, you don't look like a complete idiot. I think your policies are idiotic. But what you have to say is nothing of any substance.
By the way, I think it's important for us to talk about your experience on college campuses. You teach. You're. I believe you're black. Are you a black person? Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. I know you. I know you are.
I actually had to tell my parents that.
Oh, did you really? I love that. I know Chris. So I'm joking here, but like they must be like, wait a second, you don't fit our mold. How dare you be a free thinker and how dare you not buy into the grievance culture? You know, I mean, what's the reaction you get on campus? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people just find it incredibly refreshing and gratifying to have you there. But what do the lefties say about you?
Oh, the lefties absolutely cannot stand me or anything I have to say. They, paint me as this radical right-wing guy whose ideas will destroy the American education system. Really? Your ideas on the left is part of the reason why we have so many college graduates, anywhere from the undergraduate level to the PhD level, who simply cannot think for themselves, because what you do is say to them, oh, by the way, this is so because I say it so. It is very difficult for any conservative professor, unless they are 100% strong, to deal with life on a college campus. It just isn't. It's very, very difficult.
It's not for the faint of heart, and yet they want to make it uncomfortable, so conservatives don't even apply. Well, that's what they want, and it's a self-selecting atmosphere, and we need our kids to have perspectives like yours. We need young people to be able to hear about the greatness of the free market in in Western civilization, which is the greatest civilization ever known to man, and we need to be proud of that. And it's really distressing to spend $70,000 a year on a college that ends up teaching your kid to hate America. That model has to go away.
It does have to go away. And in fact, when I did my master's degree at Columbia, it was probably one of the most ridiculous issues relative to the faculty. I mean, faculty there at the graduate level were simply trying to pound into my head that America needs to really be saved by a return to traditional liberalism, whatever that means. But I do think it's important that conservative professors not only work on conservative campuses, but that we also work on liberal campuses. We have got to be the counterbalance to the steady diet of nonsense and lefty garbage that's being fed to our students.
Well, I could not agree more. One thing I have to share with you, another just moment for sheer jocularity, is Cory Booker. This was on Monday, and he was doing, I think we included this in the soundbite, but he's doing his best Howard Dean scream. Let's listen.
Oh, God.
By organizing all around America, not only did we win civil rights, but we ushered in a Democratic majority that lasted for years and years and years because we got active and organized. Where a whole bunch of women coast to coast in this country came out and they marched, and it was like they were saying to me, Cory, this is not a time to curl up, to shut up, or to give up. This is America. We know our history. This is a time to stand up, to speak up, to rise up. Because when we stand as Americans, when we join together and fight together and work together, no filibuster can stop us. We ushered in civil rights, women's rights, workers' rights. And in this era, if we organize again, we are going to bring a progressive agenda to this country and move it forward for everyone, no matter who's in the Senate.
Well, I just have a feeling Trump's going to nickname him Bug-Eyed Booker. That's my sense. Bug-Eyed Booker.
It's really funny because he did the Howard Dean scream when he was in South Carolina recently. He did the black preacher scream. So there you go. There you have it.
Oh my gosh! It is just. I know, but the idea of a divided America's always been divided, though. The idea that the only time America wasn't divided was for 5 minutes after 9/11, and you know, a few other time, maybe after the Kennedy assassination, people came together. But I don't know. There are not many times in World War II and the end of the war, but there's not many times like the countries say, "Oh, the countries are united." It's a nice slogan, "United." We should be united around basic sacrosanct ideals that the left wants to tear down. So we're united around principles, but the debate has always been raucous.
Oh, absolutely. And I actually think that division itself is a good thing.
Yeah, if you can debate it.
Right. And that's not the issue. The issue, though, for the left is they want to come and say, well, this division is by definition evil. We must be one America. But here's a contradiction there. They're saying we must be one America, and we also must support diversity. So are we one America? Are we diverse with different point of views? What do you say? But of course, for them, the definition of diversity is race, color, sex, sexual orientation, all of those kinds of things. It does not, of course, include diversity of thought and diversity of perspective. That would be too dangerous.
Well, they actually believe that one of the America's founding principles is diversity. Like, where is that? I mean, and what country? What country has multiculturalism of the type that they're talking about? Multiculturalism, where there's no real period of assimilation, where there's no public education system, where you inculcate the ideals, the general culture of the society. Doesn't mean it can't change or be enhanced or improved, or we have different ethnic sensibilities or even foods, and that's all great. But that's the melting pot. But they really don't believe in the melting pot. They think the pot itself is corrupt. So the pot is assimilation itself is a 4-letter word for them now.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. But so the problem here is we have become, thanks to them, hyphenated people. So I never refer to myself as African American. First of all, I have nothing to do with Africa. I am an American, and I'm black. But those are simple dimensions of me. They don't define who I am. And this hyphenation thing, really, and they wonder why people get so upset, because you're trying to tell me what to call people, what their experiences are. Look, just assimilation, I think, is in fact the key here. That is what makes America work. It is not this division. And if I happen to be a congressperson and I'm getting sworn in, why should I be sworn in on the Quran? If I want to be sworn in on the Quran, then go to the country where it says Quran is what you're sworn in on. I have a fundamental problem with that.
Yeah, well, the one nation under God.
It is God.
The Muslims say they believe in God, but the question of Sharia law and what that means to Ilhan Omar or to any of the more, I think, focused Muslims in the United States is a question that's going to be debated, and I think it's concerning. Political Islam is poisonous.
It is.
And I think that's what a lot of folks here are concerned about, and with good reason. Islamism, We've seen what it's done to women and to other minorities, yes. Free thought, free speech, free religious expression, all of it. Professor, I want to play something for you about how the left seeks to silence opposition. This is Dean Backett, who is the executive editor of the New York Times, at a conference on press freedom. Let's listen.
Fairness means fairness and open-mindedness and a sense of inquiry. That, to me, is journalism. That does not mean we do not go out to make sure we quote 25 people that say there's no man did not contribute to the changing climate. That would be ridiculous. That's not what most people believe. There's a debate. The only debate is what should be done about it. I don't believe in that. I believe in open-mindedness, open-minded inquiry.
Your reaction to that? It's all open-minded inquiry, but certain people shouldn't be heard because they're telling falsehoods.
Oh yeah, and that's why it's not open-minded inquiry. When the press and particularly in the U.S. the mainstream media, they want to define the conversation. They want to decide who should be included and who should be excluded, what voices should be heard, and then they want to say, oh, but by the way, we're objective. Open-minded inquiry, come on, that's nonsense. It's more of control. It's more of mind control than it is of anything else, and that's what concerns me. When I see every night, every day, the press simply going just ridiculously against the president, look, the Mueller investigation is over, okay? It's done. Move on. Instead, you come up with all these things. Oh, well, there needs to be another line of inquiry. What did he mean by saying this? We're now going to subpoena everyone. Again, it's the kind of thing where what it ends up doing is controlling minds and controlling the narrative in a very left way. That's a problem.
We loved your book, Dr. Christopher Metzler, Divided We Stand, The Search for America's Soul. We really appreciate your joining us. Thank you so much for the Laura Ingraham podcast. You take care. We'll have you on TV soon for sure. We've got to get him back on TV. We still have a lot to get to here on the podcast. Ben Shapiro is going to join us. His new book, of course, is a huge hit. And he's a popular figure on college campuses as well. And he believes the power of ridicule is underutilized by conservatives. And being unafraid of being called the names and all the things that the left will do to try to shut down speech. And I want to thank and alert you to this group called Delta Rescue, Delta Animal Rescue. Everybody knows how much I love my dogs. I'm an animal person, to put it very bluntly. And I think animals deserve to live their lives out in peace without abuse and without harm. And, in fact, all animals, not just dogs, but all animals. But what happens when some of our furry friends are abandoned? They're lost, left on the side of the road, some lost in the wilderness. Well, Delta Animal Rescue is there. Delta Rescue has a no-kill, care-for-life animal sanctuary, and it's the best of its kind in the world. And it's a super sanctuary and home to more than 1,500 animals. They've all been abandoned in the wilderness. Now, you can help keep this beautiful mountaintop ranch continue its mission of compassion by including Delta Rescue in your estate plans. I give to them every year, but the estate plans is a great way to do it as well. 100% of your donations go directly to the animals of the Delta Rescue Super Sanctuary. And look, you can't take it with you. So why not give a long-lasting, life-saving gift that will benefit our animal friends for years to come? For information on Delta Rescue's tax-saving estate planning options, visit deltarescue.org/Laura. That's deltarescue.org/Laura, and you'll learn more about the great benefits of your estate bequest. Donate today at deltarescue.org/Laura. Let's go to Kenneth in Illinois. And Kenneth has some thoughts on what we were talking about earlier, the slogan for Trump 2020. Should it be make America great again, continue with what worked, or should it be keep America great or keeping America great? Kenneth.
My thoughts are MAGA is still the slogan we have to use because I don't believe we've achieved MAGA yet. I believe there's too much hatred from the Democratic Party, and they've been blocking everything the president's been trying to do. So MAGA is
the only problem
thought.
with that, I agree. I do like MAGA. The only thing I would say is that maybe it's just, it get boring? Like, people rebrand things all the time. But Kenneth's point is it worked. What do you think about that, Raymond? Just say, Make America Great Again.
Or keep making America great again, and you make it K-Magna. Keep making America great again. You change the make to making.
Keeping America great. Keeping it. He thinks. Well, you could also say making America great. Making. We're doing it. Mm-hmm. How about making America great? No, that's too similar. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I see Kenneth's point, though. It's working. Loretta, New York. Loretta.
Yes. Hi.
Hey, how you doing, girl?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Well, I'm happy to partake in this. I think I like the syllables, but I feel that America is great again, and then they can always use like a little catchphrase, let's keep the momentum going, and something like that, as a little side.
I think, okay, Loretta, here's what I think. America, of course, we love America. Yeah. I think Trump, we think America's great. But his point is it's not where it needs to be economically. We need to be safer, have our sovereignty intact, our independence, need to make these NATO countries pay their fair share. You see they're still not paying their fair share over there in NATO. It's an outrage.
He's speaking on Capitol Hill this week.
It's just a complete outrage. They're still not paying their military dues. But maybe you're right, though. Maybe it's I think keep it going. I think keep it going is a great KIG. Well, we have to we don't have to have an acronym for everything.
Keep America going.
Keep it going. I think just keep it going. Everybody knows what he's talking about. I like keep it going. Like, why would we stop now? Keep it going. I kind of like that. That's in line with what Loretta's saying. By the way, is Loretta still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Loretta, it's funny. Some of my friends from college call me Loretta. Isn't that funny?
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. They just think it's funny. You know the song Cool Rockin' Loretta, that song?
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
But I know my name is in one of the Beatles songs.
Yeah.
Get Back Loretta?
Oh, yeah, Get Back Loretta. But no, but Cool Rockin' Loretta. I need you to go to YouTube.
I'm going to have to look that up.
Oh, my gosh, it's such a great song. It is a rockabilly. Cool Rockin' Loretta. Oh, no. It's an awesome tune.
Well, that fits me pretty good.
Oh, no. You got to go listen to it. You got to pound it on your speakers, okay? Just get it. A lot of people have covered it. Nick Lowe's covered it. A lot of people. Oh, no. It's such an awesome tune. You got to get it. All right, you take care, girl. All right, in line with our conversation about keeping it great, let's keep it going. Keep the success going. Trump was reflecting last night on his interaction with the general about defeating ISIS and the goal of defeating ISIS and how he felt. Let's listen.
I said, what's your name, Raisin? What's your last name? Kane. I said, you mean your name's Raisin Kane? Yes, sir. That's the guy that told me. I said, so my people tell me 2 years. What do you think? 1 week, sir. I said, General, come here, give me a kiss. I felt like Joe Biden. Yeah.
Because he doesn't want us to spend money. I like the fact that he's always thinking about saving our money. He doesn't want to waste the taxpayers' money. If you could do something faster than 2 years, let's do it. And he's like this about everything, by the way, with the foreign investments that we have, with the foreign aid. If we are not getting bang for our buck, if it's not being used properly, why are the taxpayers funding this foreign aid? And I'm glad he thinks it's about time we had someone who's worried about how we spend our taxpayer dollars. And I mean, can you imagine if Trump could really have his way on this and he'd go through that budget but you have to have a willing Republican Party. He blasted the Republicans. He's the only president I know who goes to a Republican fundraiser and just blasts the Republican Party from beginning to end. This was why people love him, though. He's like, what are you doing on healthcare? You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. All right. A lot of folks notice that as you get older, you feel like you don't quite have that energy you used to have, and you put a workout routine in motion, you feel a little bit better, but still, you want that sense of strength and stamina that you had when you're in your 20s and early 30s. Well, it changes. Really, after the age of 35, 37, you start losing that all-important human growth hormone production in your body. Well, Serovital is clinically shown to increase your body's natural production of HGH to levels closer to what you experienced in your 20s and 30s. That is really cool. So their newest scientific breakthrough is called Serovital Advanced, and it delivers all the benefits of the original formula, plus you have accelerated skin improvement. So your skin also, you're going to feel your skin looking better as well, which is just another awesome, awesome bonus here. And you'll see this improvement, your metabolism, your skin, in as little as 15 days. So, and users, they get more energy, they improve mood, but not that I ever need improved mood. Better sleep, reduce cravings. Come on. Listeners to the podcast, the Laura Ingraham podcast, can try Serovital Advance for $70 off by texting Laura to 246810. That's Laura. Text Laura to 246810 and start looking and feeling younger than you do right now. Come on, you know you need it. Order today and you'll even get free shipping. Again, text Laura, Laura, to 246810 and you'll get to try Serovital Advanced. Again, text Laura to 246810 and enjoy your $70 discount now. Terms and conditions apply. Up next, Ben Shapiro, who drives him crazy on college campuses. I'm going to ask him this question. Do we really have free speech in America today? Stay there on the Laura Ingraham podcast. Joining us now on the Laura Ingraham podcast, the author of the #1 New York Times bestseller. It's always so great to say that. Ben Shapiro, his book, The Right Side of History, How Reason and Moral Purpose Made the West Great. He's also the editor-in-chief and founder of the Daily Wire. And before we get into his book and the most recent example of the censorious, intolerant left, I have to share something with all of you. And this kind of just tells you about Ben Shapiro's impact on young people. Now, if you've been under a rock and you don't know who Ben Shapiro is, you'll get a sense from this story. So I get a call from my friend Jill, who's been my friend for, 20 years. And she's Swedish. She's American citizen now, but she grew up in Sweden, came here as an au pair when she was 18. Anyway, her son Luke was turning 18 last week. And Luke I've known since literally the hour after his birth, the first time I met him. And I said, oh my gosh, 18, I can't believe it. She said, could you help me out? I said, well, what do you need? She said, all Luke wants for his birthday is Ben Shapiro. You can autograph anything. Could he autograph a piece of paper I said, well, he has this great new book out. She said, oh, I heard about the book. I was going to get it for him. I said, well, why don't I see if Ben would send a copy of his new book to Luke, The Right Side of History? And she said, oh my God, could you possibly do that? And she said, Laura, I'm really pushing my luck. If there's any way you could get Ben to record like 5 seconds, happy birthday, Luke, I think he would literally fall over. Okay. He's like 6'4", incredible young man going to, film school, incredible, just about to graduate high school. And so I messaged Ben and I said, Ben, you probably get so many of these. That's like the last thing of time. Ben, within 2 seconds, he's like, done, did it, it's off. I get a text from Luke and I literally started bawling. He said, Aunt Laura, and he's holding up the book and he said, Aunt Laura, I literally started crying. This made my year. I listened to his podcast on the way to school every single day. He is incredible. Thank you. I have goosebumps. Because you know when you see a kid so excited about learning and anyway, that's my Ben Shapiro story. Hi, Ben. How are you?
Hey. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun to do that. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Oh, Luke was so thrilled. So you're having a profound impact on young people. And a lot of people want to understand Now, why is that? Ben Shapiro is kind of a straight arrow, right to the camera, no nonsense, tells it like it is. So kids have all these distractions. They have the phone, the internet, they have everything around them. They have all these influences from Hollywood and the entertainment industry and political leftists. So why do you think you're cutting through? Why is it working?
You know, I think a couple of things. I think that one, right now there's a hunger for big ideas, and the politics of the country are so partisan right now, and there's so much following of politics along these sort of celebrity lines that when people talk about big issues in sort of a cut to the bone way, I think people are looking for that. People are looking for information first and opinion second. I really try to do that. The other thing is that I sort of find everything funny. and while I lament, a lot of the things about the state of the country, and while I'm optimistic about some of them, if you can't watch this political moment and at least be amused by it, then I think that you're missing out. Because, I mean, come on, some of this stuff is just funny. And I think that young people particularly want to be able to have a good time engaging with politics. They don't want to feel like they're being scolded. And that's something that I try to do.
Yeah, so The Economist, and I tweeted about this, The Economist writes a piece about you, and they reference you as alt-right. Now, this is their shorthand way of trying kind of to diss you or dismiss you, and you addressed that, I know, recently on Fox News. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is fully insane, and it demonstrates that for a lot of folks in the media, even ones that are sort of considered center in Europe, they don't know anything about the actual conservative right in the United States. And so when they think right, they think the European far right, or they think the alt-right, and they think those are the same thing. So the fact that I'm a popular conservative means that I'm alt-right. Now, this is absolutely nonsensical. I've spent legitimately the last 5 years of my life battling the alt-right in the pages of every place I can find to write about them. I was their number one target online in 2016, according to the Anti-Defamation League. I think they're the worst people with the worst views, and yet the Economist labeled me that way. And I think the reason they did that is because they saw popular conservative. That means alt-right. It's a way of morally castigating anybody who is on the right, and then suggesting that they are unfit for conversation, which is absurd, especially because if you actually read the interview that I did with The Economist, this headline was on an interview. The interview was fine. The interview is perfectly normal.
No, the interview was just kind of, I mean, it was steak and potatoes. I mean, it was classic kind of conservative Ben Shapiro stuff. But again, it's the inability to think deeply or think in any type of sober, mature way about these issues that are obviously big issues in the country. And one issue that, I've been addressing for now 22 years is this issue of immigration. And you're seeing today, for instance, these new numbers coming out, they're the highest in a decade of individuals crossing the border, being apprehended, now having to be released because they're overwhelming authorities, total breakdown of the border, total crisis. And yet the common refrain from the left is, it's a Trump-created crisis, and you don't like brown people. And then the debate ends. Then it's over.
Yep. The attempt to shut down all honest conversation about issues like this, and even looking at kind of the various facets of it, is something the left will not tolerate. They have a simple narrative, and the narrative is that you are morally unfit. And because you are morally unfit, we're not going to listen to anything you have to say. And they're cramming more and more people into the box morally unfit, and then they're trying to launch boycotts against all of those people, as you've experienced, I've experienced it, Tucker's experienced it. Basically, if you're prominent enough on the right, the left attempts to destroy you on a personal level without actually referencing the comments that you're making or trying to see them in the best possible light, which is a violation of sort of basic breach of moral rules, is that you have to try and see what people are saying before you take them out of context and try and destroy them. Unfortunately, the left has fallen prey to what is a simple, easy trick for ruining people's careers and lives. And it's really disgusting because, as you mentioned, there are a lot of facets to the immigration issue. I mean, you can talk about the breakdown of law and order in places like Honduras and El Salvador and Guatemala. You can talk about the fact that the Mexican government hasn't done a lot to stop people from coming up. You can talk about the fact that we are tremendously underfunded. Even if you are in favor of all of these people simply being processed, we're tremendously underfunded in terms of the beds, and Democrats just defunded those beds. Or you can just suggest that everybody who is trying to get a handle on the immigration problem in a different way than you actually just hates brown people, and that's really the secret rationale. Once you get to attributing secret rationales to people, you've entered the realm of non-conversation, and that's a bad place to be.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing on another level, whether it's through these attempts to silence people who come to campus or make it so onerous to appear on campus that people just say, forget it, it's not worth it. It's not worth it for me to go. Jerry Seinfeld won't even perform on college campuses because everyone's lost their sense of humor. They're afraid to laugh, or he'll be shunned, and then you go and, you manage to, deliver speeches, but there's always some big drama around it, or there's a security costs, and so they want to make it so difficult and so uncomfortable for conservatives to even have a conversation that a lot of them just give up. Regular people just give up. They're like, look, I'm going to go do something else. I don't need this. And then you lose the culture because there's no one there to defend the culture.
Yeah, that's right. And it's definitely an ugly thing. And I think that it is an outgrowth of a generalized attempt to substitute feelings for any sort of rational conversation. There was this movement away from very notions of objective truth and reason, and toward this belief that your intersectional identity mattered more than any of that, your truth, your personal experience. This trumped all sort of statistical evidence. It trumped any argument. And that if I attacked your politics, if I thought your politics were wrong, then this is an attack on you personally, then I'm erasing you, right? This is always the proclamation from folks on the left, is that they are being erased if you disagree with their politics. You've erased their experiences. Well, that's not what's happening. I'm just disagreeing with you. But when you sort of pose it as though the choice is I either agree with you or I erase you, then you are essentially you're accusing me of a form of violence against you. And that's what you've seen. I mean, when I was at Berkeley, and we required something like 600 police officers to show up at Berkeley just so I could speak. I mean, they had to put the staties on actual notice to show up in case there were more riots. And people were chanting outside, and what they were chanting was speech is violence. I mean, if you think speech is violence, you're frankly illiterate, and beyond that, illogical. But more than anything else, you have fallen for one of the oldest tricks in the book here, which is to equate simple disagreement with the sort of enemy action that requires violence in response. And that's the end of conversation. I mean, you can't have a republic that way. If speech is violence, there can be no republic.
Yeah, do you think we have meaningful free speech in the United States today? It's a kind of a big question, but we have it guaranteed in our Bill of Rights. But do we really have free speech rights?
I mean, I think that we do, but it's certainly under assault. Meaning that I think that what we've lost is a free speech mentality. So we have, as you mentioned, legal protections. Obviously, you're a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. I mean, that's true, but it is also true that the mentality of free speech that says you can disagree with me and I'm not going to try and destroy your life, destroy your business, destroy everything, your family, like destroy all those things, that has gone away. And it's going away quickly. And it's really incredibly dangerous. I mean, Alexis de Tocqueville talks about this very early on. He's writing in the 1840s, 1830s. And he says in Democracy in America that in the United States, and he feared this then, that social approbation and social censure was just as powerful, and in many cases more powerful than government censure. In cases of basic disagreement, we can excise you from society. We can make it so that you can't have friends. We can make it so that you can't get a job based simply on your viewpoint. I think there are very few cases in which that sort of thing is called for. It's certainly not called for when it doesn't impact how you do business. So I've said before that one of the beautiful things about the free market is that it allows people to make decisions about where they want to patronize businesses. And that's fine. I mean, that's good and that's great. That's one of the great things about free markets. If a business is doing something of which you don't approve, you have every ability not to patronize that business. People don't like your show. They don't have to listen. They don't like my show. They don't have to listen. But what we've gotten now is beyond that, which is if I don't like something that is said on your show, I'm now going to go after advertisers who are on your show or advertisers who are on my show, which is more of an attack on the general principle of free speech than anything else, because you're not attacking my viewpoints anymore. You're attacking people who are simply trying to reach my audience in the same way that they advertise on left-wing shows. And once you remove the incentives for free speech, it makes it very difficult for anybody to speak out without fear of being destroyed publicly. And that's ugly. I mean, I do think that I'm not going to pretend all speech is the same. I do think that there are ramifications for speech, and I think there should be ramifications for speech. But I do think that we've gone overboard when a simple disagreement becomes an excuse to destroy somebody's life, especially in a non-associated area. You'll see things like Chick-fil-A, where Chick-fil-A serves gay people, employs gay people, does not discriminate against gay people, and yet the left will say we have to boycott them because the founder of Chick-fil-A is pro-traditional marriage. I mean, what the hell? That has nothing to do with the business.
Right, and it's funny that you brought that up. I was just gonna focus on the Chick-fil-A issue because now Niagara Airport, it's a small airport, it's an international airport in New York, but they voted to stop Chick-fil-A, not give a license to them to set up shop in the airport there, and they declared this a big victory because the values of Chick-fil-A. The Chick-fil-A's founder do not represent New York values, as if there is one value that represents New York. Don't you love that?
I'm also old enough to remember when people ripped the crap out of Ted Cruz for suggesting that New York values are exactly what Niagara is saying New York values are, right?
That's a great point.
Ted Cruz said that in a primary, and people are like, how dare you say such thing about New York? But if you're on the left and you're Andrew Cuomo and you say New York does not allow conservatives or religious people, then that's okay. So amazing. But it is true that the left is making for a world where we will only be able to shop at companies where we agree with the political views of those people. That's going to have some pretty negative impacts on the left, too. I mean, it's going to be difficult to share a country when I have to check the politics of everybody who owns that company. But I guess if we're going to do that, then we can. But I don't think this is going to end the way the left thinks this is going to end. Yeah,
well, I think, again, they forget that, half the country is not with them. So if they want to play by this new set of rules, then conservatives, can play at the game, and maybe it's mutually assured destruction. Maybe that's the only way for this to. Yeah, they get a little taste of their own medicine.
I mean, that's right. Before I ran Daily Wire, I actually headed an organization called Truth Revolt, and we did this. I mean, we said openly, we don't like these boycotting tactics. We don't like secondary boycotts. But if the left is going to go after you and Rush and Tucker and Sean and everybody else, then we are going to go after you the exact same way. And you'll find out that you don't like this very much. And in the first 2 months of launch, we took down Alec Baldwin at MSNBC and Martin Bashir at MSNBC. If people want to play this game can be played on both sides, and it gets really ugly really quickly. The entire industry could be destroyed very easily by a group of bad faith actors who simply start targeting advertisers. And this is what advertisers should know, too. I mean, and we've made this clear to advertisers. I've been saying this on my show for a while. If advertisers just understand that all of this outrage culture is a bunch of nonsense, that the vast majority of people do not care and are not interested in it, and that the vast majority of people who claim outrage are not, in fact, outraged. They're just weaponizing outrage to use as a political tool to destroy their enemies. Then advertisers would just sit this stuff out. There'd be a controversy for 72 hours. People would yell, and then it would be over. Because guess what? This stuff doesn't work. No one cares. People have been trying to boycott Chick-fil-A for years, and Chick-fil-A stock keeps rising. The same thing is true for Nike on the other side. They put out the Colin Kaepernick stuff. All of us were ticked, and Nike stock rose. I mean, the idea that boycott culture is somehow going to win the day on a practical market level is simply untrue. It's just that the media really plays up the impact of boycott culture.
You also have a lot of weak-kneed corporate boards and CEOs. If they get 10 emails from a Media Matters generated account or blast emails, and they freak out, and then all of a sudden they realize that, well, these people don't buy my products anyway. We have loyal listeners or loyal viewers, and they stick with us through anything, and we advertise on a whole bunch of different platforms, and may the best ideas win. I mean, I think in the end that's where it'll be. And it's funny that you mentioned that, Ben, because Variety magazine has a big piece out today. I guess it was yesterday, a profile of the CEO of Fox, Suzanne Scott, and it's a piece that talks about her vision for Fox and how Fox is not evolving as all these people are worried about Fox evolving, and I didn't even know this, but both Hannity and my revenue in 2018 was up. So while the left can knock off some advertisers here and there, I mean, our revenue's up and our ratings are up. So we're up and the other networks are down. So
no, we've had the same experience on the podcast and radio show. I mean, early this year, there was an attempt to go after our advertisers on the basis of a completely anodyne statement, pro-life statement that I made. And that didn't hurt our revenue in any way at all. Actually, our revenue is up dramatically. All of this stuff is just a bunch of crap, and the media play it up because they're seeking to destroy a bunch of people they don't like. And here is the obvious way to tell this: are these actual consumers of the product?
That's
are
what
these people who are actually contacting the advertisers because they're so angry? The Keurig people are so angry that Keurig was on Sean's show that now they're never going to shop Keurig again? Or is it 80 activists from Media Matters who are calling up Keurig and pretending to be that? And 80 tweets later, Keurig is just like, well, I guess this is a big controversy. I guess we better do something about this. The problem is they're extending logic that existed in the pre-internet world to the internet world, and it doesn't count, right? What they're saying is for every phone call we receive, there are probably 50 people who wanted to make that phone call. On the internet, for every tweet you receive, there's half a person who cares about that tweet, right? Even the person who tweets it doesn't care about that tweet.
They don't.
So if you receive 20 tweets, that does not represent 400 people, right? Those 20 tweets represent nothing. Those 20 tweets represent 10 people.
But Ben, the funny thing is that then you get all of these like crazy left-wing websites. You're like, oh, the conservative commentator under assault for saying this, and so then it's the echo chamber of the left.
Right.
Then these corporate CEOs. Oh God, what are we going to do now? How are we going to? And it's just again, it's the same group of people. This is a very small subset of humanity is engaged in this kind of intolerant, censorious attitude toward conservatism.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And people should not fall for the trick. It's amazing to me, frankly, that the Democratic Party is falling for the trick as a whole, because it seems like more and more of the Democratic Party base is this. So increasingly, this is a thing. I mean, it starts off as a fringe thing and becomes more mainstream. But you can see the entire Democratic Party establishment now catering to this sort of logic, this idea that everybody who disagrees with them is innately a bad person, and we're going to boycott full states. We're going to boycott Georgia if Georgia passes a pro-life bill. Or we got, as I mentioned, Andrew Cuomo in New York saying that people who disagree with me shouldn't even be in the state. And this sort of attitude, I don't know if it's, I think it is endemic to political leftism, but it used to be that liberals did not believe this. It's why I've always made sort of a hard distinction between liberals and the left. Unfortunately, I think the left is triumphing over the old school liberals.
Yeah, well, the old school liberals, people like Nat Hentoff or Christopher Hitchens, they're gone.
Right.
There's just not many of them left.
Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan would be destroyed by his own party today.
Oh my God, he would be called a sellout and a fool. And yet at the same time, and I want your thoughts on this before we let you go, Ben. I know you're really busy. The left will also elevate a person or a movement or a whatever their product issue or issue of the day is, and build it up and build it up and build it up to get you to think that this is the oracle, this is the moment, this is the transformative thought. And if I could point to one person now they're doing that to, it's not AOC. It's the Notre Dame mayor, Pete Buttigieg, who's running for president. Yeah. So it's he who is now the new Barack Obama. It's not Beto. It might have been him for a minute, but I'm looking at this Notre Dame mayor as the next big push for the left. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do think that is true. And honestly, I find him more appealing just as a human being than most of the people who are on that Democratic stage. I mean, this is somebody who has said he'll eat at Chick-fil-A, which automatically makes him more sane than nearly all of the Democratic Party. So that the fact is that Buttigieg is wildly left on all of these issues, but he is presenting as somebody who is not angry and somebody who doesn't hate the country, which is Obama, different from a lot of the other Democratic Party candidates.
Yeah, that was Obama, though, except when you look back at his, college. I mean, but Obama presented that way, too. I mean,
in 2008,
kind of traditional dad.
He shifted between 2008 and 2012. I think in a lot of ways, 2012 sort of broke the country. I think that when Obama decided that instead of running on his big unity platform in 2008, that he was going to break everybody down into categories and then create a new conglomeration of interest groups to create a majority, that really hurt the country in a lot of serious ways. In many ways, I think that the Obama presidency was such a blown opportunity for him and for the country, not just because he was politically left, but because he chose to polarize where he could have unified. And that was not the fault of the right. That was Barack Obama's fault.
What do you see in this upcoming election? How are you seeing this play out? I mean, it's impossible, I guess, at this point, but.
Yeah, I lost too much money betting on the last election to actually. I will freely admit I lost a goodly amount of money. I figured if this thing is going to go badly, then I may as well make some money off it. So it went well that night, and I lost money. So I would prefer that. But in any case, what do I see? What I see is in 2018, the polls showed that the Democrats lost their entire advantage in 2018 when the public focus was on them. When the public focus went back on Trump, then Republicans got skunked. So I have been suggesting for a long time that President Trump's best strategy in 2020 is simply to stand there like Donald Sutherland in Invasion of the Body Snatchers in shock and horror and point at the Democrats. Just literally just stand there and point. Because if people look at the insanity on the other side of the aisle, can you imagine voting affirmatively for Bernie Sanders? I mean, I don't think a lot
No.
of people living in suburbia can. I think there are a lot of people who can think of voting against Trump. Democratic turnout will be high, but I think that in places like Michigan or Pennsylvania, even places like Wisconsin, Trump continues to run extremely competitive in these places by polling data. And if the Democrats run somebody who is radical and extreme, and Trump just stands there and points at their radicalism and, again, shows an ounce of discipline, then I think that he has a better than 50-50 shot of being reelected. Again, there's only been one president in the last 40 years who's really only served one term in the absence of a third-party candidate, and that's Jimmy Carter. So it's kind of hard to lose reelection, especially when the economy is good. The only way that happens is if Trump makes his personality the key issue in 2020. And he can do that, right? I mean, he really has to go away and stop tweeting quite as much and be disciplined about. Listen, I know the stuff that his base is revved up about. His base is still going to be revved up about all of that in 2020 if he tweets a little bit less and alienates suburban women a little bit less and lets the Democrats do what they do, which is make fools of themselves.
Yeah, you got to get those women. You got to get a lot of those women back. And I think that, the women don't want their boys to be subjected to the Me Too madness and unfairly accused, and they want their kids to be able to make a decent living. And I mean, the Democrats have just given up on the idea of raising your standard of living. I mean, that's just out the window now.
Yep, that's exactly right. And also, the Democrats have forgotten that, women do care, suburban women particularly, care about crime rates. They care about strong policing, which President Trump is very strong on. They still care about a growing economy. And they're not all in favor of higher taxes. By moving to the woke left, I don't know who the Democrats think they're appealing to, other than they keep doubling down on the 2012 Obama coalition instead of the 2008 Obama coalition, which is fascinating, right? It's indicative of something deeper. And in 2008, Obama ran as we're not red states, we're not blue states, we're the United States, we're all part of the same people. In 2012, he said, you know what? This whole kind of white base that voted for me in 2008, I'm not sure they're going to vote for me again. So I'm just going to double down on a lot of the intersectional politics. I'm going to send Joe Biden out there to claim that Mitt Romney wants to put black people back in chains. Mitt Romney, the most boring person in the history of mankind, and also one of the nicest people to run for public office just on a personal level. That guy wants to re-enslave black people. And that's where they decided to go. And I think that the Democrats were so invested in this narrative that they were never going to lose an election again, that it's haunted their politics ever since. They think that Hillary Clinton was going to be able to use that same coalition to win, and then she didn't. And instead of them saying, oh, well, maybe we should go back to, Obama 2008 or Bill Clinton 1996. Instead, they keep going back to, let's do Obama 2012 all over again, because that was the triumphant, we got to put our boots on their throats moment. They don't understand. Obama was an actual statistical outlier. And Hillary was not the statistical outlier. Obama was the statistical outlier in terms of performance among subgroups.
Well, and I think, again, what we think today about the election a year from now, when we have Ben back on, well, it'll be fascinating to see how this field is shaking out, because it's going to get ugly. I mean, they're kind of kind and sweet and nice to each other now, but it gets ugly. That's just the nature of it. And they're already taking out poor Uncle Joe just because he grabs women by the, shoulders. I mean, I guess that you can't do that anymore, Ben. You can't smell a woman's hair.
I mean, it is amazing to watch the standards change. I mean, that's been amusing. I mean, because I'm older than 6 months old, I'm old enough to remember when you weren't allowed to use women who are not the accuser as proof that a man was decent, as Brett Kavanaugh. And right. I'm old enough to remember when we had to believe all women, which was true for Brett Kavanaugh, except for the women we ignored. And now we have to not believe all women if they hurt Joe Biden. And also, we're going to just randomly change the standard where neither of these women is accusing him of actual sexual impropriety. Now he made me feel uncomfortable because he's huggy. Yeah, Joe Biden has no boundaries. Like, this has been true for Joe Biden forever.
His whole life.
Why are we pretending that Joe Biden is something that he is not? I do love the transformation of Joe Biden into elder statesman. I mean, the guy he's had logorrhea his entire career. And this is a man who in 2008 said that Barack Obama was the first mainstream black candidate because he was clean and articulate. And we're pretending like he's unbelievably smooth and knows his points. I think the best day for Joe Biden in this election cycle is the day he declares, and the worst day is every day after that. Oh no, it's going to be so much fun. He definitely is going to run. So it's going to be great. And then we find out that these women who are accusing him are all one's, supporting Sanders, and the other's quote from the Hartford Kern is, well, if he really supports women, he should step aside and let a woman be the nominee. Okay, now we know what it's all about. So we found the Kirsten Gillibrand supporter, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, guys. Ben, we love listening to your podcast on iHeartRadio. It's so awesome. We really, really love it. And I'm so glad so many young people across the country are having fun and laughing. I think you're right. We got to laugh, make people realize that if you're entertained, laugh, and you can use the power of ridicule and learn something, that's a good day.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of fun to be had even as we watch the country descend into madness. So, if you can't laugh at it, what can you do?
Ben, congrats on the book. It's still up on our Facebook page. We're just so happy for you. Come back soon, okay?
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Laura.
Thanks, Ben. It's always great having you on. And I want to thank our sponsors who are supporting this show day in and day out. Genucell, the best skincare out there. Serovital. You'll get more energy with Serovital. Delta Animal Rescue. Do the right thing. And Legacy Box. Preserve your memories. All of them. We love you. We thank you. You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Podcast. We'll see you back here next time. America Now and Forever.